Pasha Paroh VLEEV. Thank you for tuning. Got my favorite music sound man today, VLEEV. We've been going hard on the channel on some knowledge. I wanted to switch gears, give them some, let's dive into some sounds, show them how it's all connected. V, go ahead, introduce yourself for the people.
All right, what's going on, people? I am VLEEV. That's VLEEV, 5 letters. Google that. Tell me what you get later. She get about 40, 50 pages on me. I am an original music composer for film. I'm also a sound man. I'm also an audio recorder from way back. Second generation piano player. I design and compose the music for film and for other audio, visual media. And that's animation, commercials, series, anything that's visual that requires a musical touch or sound design. That's what I do. I use Logic Pro X, and it is the multi-track digital audio workstation of choice. I use a large screen in back of me to watch the film, which I watch the film while I score on the piano the different sounds that go to it.
So V.
Yep.
First of all, everybody look them up, Google them. It's one of the, it's been like a decade.
VLEEV, 5 letters. Yep.
All right, so sound design. What we're gonna do is I want to connect this craft you got to show how the energy still transfer, even though we're talking about something like music. See, what we still talking about is we talking about the balancing of relationships.
Wow.
That's how I'm gonna translate it. You know me, I'm on Mars anyway. They know I'm on Mars. You know I'm on Mars. We came down here to do some work, right?
We're good.
All right. So sound design, right? Sound design. Most people hear the word sound and they think what is heard, right? Which is the noun form that didn't come into being until 1280 approximately. Originally, it was an adjective pre-1200 to free from injury.
To be sound was healed or free from infirmity or injury.
Yes, dope. So watching a silent film back in the day left us feeling like it owed us something.
Yeah, you were deaf. You were deaf by technicalities because it removed the sound aspect, which made it not really, it wasn't comfortable to view it. It wasn't comfortable to partake in it, but it was a new thing. It was a new fad, so people were excited. But it wasn't long after that they had to do something about it. The Jazz Singer was the first film that was made with sound.
Wow.
Yep. Al Jolson, the Jazz Singer, which incidentally he was in blackface doing, which is very controversial. But at the time it was what they did. So anyway.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. So the music, right, is the art of a muse. And what you just kind of connected was the injured party was both the muse, the art of the muse being the film, as well as the audience was injured. We're freeing the translation of the, we'll get to it in a moment, the witnessing, right, of the film it has defects because it's not transmitting the full vibrational frequency, the full frequency spectrum.
Right, it's impaired.
So we felt injured, and the actual art of the muse visually was defected. So sound design, sound originally being an adjective to free from injury or defect, tell them the importance of your job, your role in the production, freeing the injury and the defect from the entire experience. Tell them the power.
Okay, what happens when sound is first thought of? Okay, when they're writing it, we get a guy like me who's an expert in collecting sound, to go with a visual image. There is Foley, which is the natural sound interacting within an environment, a given an environment. If you're in a room and it's the bedroom, then you have bedroom type noises, dressers closing and opening, creaking of the bed, the window that opens, different devices you may have in that room, footsteps, the way the door closes, that's all Foley. The way the blanket sounds when you ruffle it to make the bed, that's all Foley. And then, you know, kitchen is another story. Dining room, utensils, the table, the chairs, the plates, the glasses, kitchen, pots and pans, the ambience of the kitchen and the sounds of microwave, the toaster, things like that, refrigerator. Those are things, a car, you ride in a car, the different things that go with that, motor sound, the sound where you're separating an inside isolated space from the outside while it's in motion, that's a car in motion, and the people inside with the windows up. Those are all particular things that go with sound. Then you've got all sorts of sound effects, you know, military situations, action, fighting, violence, free falling out of an airplane. Those are all very particular types of sounds. Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Jaws. None of these films would be nothing without their sound design. So that's, I think that's the best example. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You know, so, the shark was about to do his thing when you hear that. Yeah. Yep.
So it's another character in the script of the film.
A lot of times it is treated as a character, but yeah, you're right. Technically it is a character because it's part of the character's personality that can precede the character actually being seen on the film or in the scene. You'll hear that sound that's bringing them in. Yeah.
So we call this, or you guys call this in the industry, scoring a film. And I want to take a moment. I want to take a moment and show the definition, the etymology of the word score. And I'm going to let you have some fun as I compare the verbiage and the frequency to the actual actions of your craft. So score originally was 1230 financial record, which sounds way distant from what we've been talking about until you look at what the words mean. So we
well, you went into the syntax and the etymology.
You know, I gotta go there. We really wordsmiths.
I know you do. I was watching a video earlier about a genius guy who broke the syntax on so many languages and government installations of an 8,500 year period. So I know where you're going with this. And yeah, it is unified, but go ahead.
So why? So let's get it. I want to get your comments on this. So the financial record almost sounds weird, right? But when we look at the word record as a verb, it's to repeat, right? And if you go to the noun, before 1300, it was the testimony. So the tie to the film, the silent movie is an injured testimony because it's lacking some of the testimony.
It's lacking that which substantiates it and makes it valid, makes it authentic, valid, true, factual. Then you can make a record of it and it can repeat because it happens to be truthful, factual, a record.
It either bona fide or it's not.
Right, bona fide, the real McCoy. There you go.
So one more word in that score definition: financial record. We got record on the table. Let's real quick look at finance, right? Which is where financial, of course, comes from. So it was originally settlement or retribution, right? Settlement of a debt. So, like we said earlier, we watched the silent movie. Hold on, let me give them the visual. Real quick. We watched the silent movie, right? Boom, put it on the screen there for you. The silent movie. And we were left feeling like the experience owed us something. And this is where your whole craft industry grew into what it's become today. Because basically we were settling or scoring music is when in relation to film is settling the repeated debt in the testimony. And what is the testimony? The testimony is the film.
The story.
The experience, yes. Go ahead, speak on that.
Okay, so silent film basically is one-dimensional. It's a struggle to make it two-dimensional because of its state of injury or its state of lacking the dimension of sound. See, these are dimensions. You know, the frequencies of light, well, you know, you can tell them better than I could, Paroh. The frequencies of light break down itself into so many dimensions and frequencies. There are some dimensions where certain colors aren't allowed, or they don't fit into that resonance or the frequency that that light color likes to vibrate at. Okay, so now that's one thing aside.
The resonance.
The resonance, right. Then there is the sound, which has its own frequencies and a breakdown. So those are two separate laws of physics happening, but they're not really that two separate, because when you have magnetism and electricity, which is sound and light, they're two separate areas of the manipulation of magnetism and electricity to bring about. Okay, so when we talk about the silent films, it's one-dimensional. What they did right away after that is they would get an organist to accompany the silent film. So that added a, what's the word? That added like
layer.
It was like a
dynamic.
crutch. It was a dynamic that was representing what was going to be later. But at first, people liked it. It was an added thing, and the organist would play these dramatic frequencies and chords, dissonant chords and harmony chords, according to the 7 modes of music, which are pertaining to the different emotions that are relayed in a visual sense. Okay, so now that happened first. You had organists, and you only had organists in the biggest movie theaters, which were in the, they were in the rich neighborhoods.
Wow. Hold on. Let me throw this in there for you. So what you're saying right now, what you just said is that at one point, sound was a luxury.
It was a luxury. Yeah, it was just like any technological advance. The first people that got a hold of it were the rich. Only now with the advent of the internet and computers, and everything's a computer, your phone's a computer. I mean, we have more power in our hands than ever. And this is what it's unified. So this is why the whole economic economics, the 5 tenets: education, health and welfare, and then finance and banking, those all have been affected on so many levels because of the advance of technology. We're on the brink now of fossil-less fuels and renewable energy.
Yeah.
So now the next revolution is basically going to be in the hands of anybody who's willing. Anybody. I mean, I had a $50 little LG phone that was more powerful than a computer 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that same thing happened in the photography industry, all the industries.
Yes,
wow.
They merged because they were more unified, because now it was down to the ones and zeros, creating the digital domain, which is now, it took all of these realms and brought them together, and now they're unified on a much higher level, and they're available to anybody in the public now. So I mean, pretty much anybody. You can afford a $50 phone, you can get it happening. So
wow.
Back to it. It was one-dimensional, then it became slightly two-dimensional, then it became two-dimensional from then on, with the jazz singer having dubbed sound, and it was synchronized, meaning with the frames and the movement, the sound was synced with it perfectly.
Wow. And that's like so the film, in other words, is dancing. When it was silent, it was dancing by itself. And what we want the film to dance with the music. So that's that relationship that we felt like we owed something.
The music was accompanying the visual to help tell the story. So yeah, the music, yeah, they danced to it. They were synchronized to it. Dance is a great simile or a great metaphor to use, but the actions were really disjointed because you have an editor, and the editors and visuals usually work separate from the editors with sound. Yeah. Okay, now they're working more and more together because, like I said, with the technology, you can freeze a project, send it over to the guy who's doing the other side of it. They've got what you did, then they add what they did, then it goes back to a producer for a final sign off. Then you go to the next stage. I mean, these are all, it's all in the box now. It's all in the computer now.
Dope. So when you get so you get a project for the people that are interested in, maybe they're already making beats and now they want to, you know, so that means when the artist comes in from scratch, they might be making the beat from the filming or the testimony of the vocal artist, right?
Right.
And or when they mixing or mastering, they're also decreasing the imbalance or increasing the harmony between the two, right?
Creating dynamics.
Yeah, there you go. So
that's what mastering is.
Now, for the people that want to get into maybe the side that you're in, they could, of course, call you, contact you, hit you up for training and all that stuff. But give them a little bit of a heads up of what your first thing you think about when you get a temp track and a brief.
Okay, let's first clarify what temp tracks and briefings are. Okay, let's go to the briefings first. A briefing is a meeting that you're going to have with the director or the person who's creating the film, the director or the producers involved. And that briefing is going to tell you the story, tell you how they plan on producing or shooting it, and then your take and your involvement. Then the other half of the briefing is the spotting session. That's when you're sitting down after they shot the footage for each scene or a particular scene, and you're watching, you are sitting there with the director and producer, and you are spotting and listening to where they want music to go, what type of music. There's no ego in this for a composer. He's listening to the director or the producer tell him what type of music they require or desire to bring about the effectual storytelling for that particular scene or the overall theme. The opening credits is usually a theme that rides the whole film, and you derive out of the opening credits theme certain movements that are applied through the modes to bring about telling the story. And the other side of the coin of this is when we write and we're writing for a particular scene, excuse me, it's not like music. It's generally, I have to say this, it's generally not like commercial recordings that you hear. It's music that's specialized, more often than not, classical music and sample sounds, sound design to help tell the story. That sound design may be musical or it may not be musical.
Like you said, the chair squeaking and stuff like that. It's
right.
Not, yeah.
Exactly.
So
right. Excuse me.
So we talked about how at one point, basically, which really ties in, because the last video I did was how the wealthy afford time. And it just, without even thinking about this as a precursor, I'm fascinated at how this connected right to it. Because now we've basically said how the wealthy at one point was the only ones that could afford sound. So if they're the only ones that could afford sound, then speak about how that, and we know we classified it as luxury and earlier, but tell them how that's enriching the experience, how that's now providing an enrichment from the audience standpoint.
Okay, early going audiences were well-heeled people who could afford it.
Right.
And the technology was still new. It was a novelty. So they were really in for the novelty experience. But when it became a serious medium of media, medium and media are very related, because it's a conduit on which a message or a communication can be shared that brings about a desired effect in the individual who is viewing it or experiencing it or who receives the message or media.
So
I've always felt, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You always felt?
I've always felt those two words are inseparable, medium and media. Well, you've got medes, media, medii, you know, those are all, you know, you're in the etymology like me, the etymology, I mean. So you're not, it's not gonna escape. Yeah, Indo-European language tables don't lie. I mean, they start at a point, you know, you have the origin of the English language, French languages, and then they broke off into something else. But then you've got to check out what they really, really, really meant, you know? And then there's the syntax, which is a whole nother story, you know?
So what you just did was you translated a view or element of law. You helped me translate the view of law in precision or the finite arena of the witness's testimony into sound design. How it's a universal law.
I'm glad you said it like that, the witness. This is what happens in courts of law too. When a witness is giving a testimony, it's people are looking for the truth, but the truth is really not so easily reached. It has to be conveyed so those 12 people are experiencing the words in such a way where they can actually see and put their full weight suspended in believing, in knowing that what they're saying is true.
The power of theater.
That's telling a story, sound and theater. Yeah. Telling a story.
So real quick in closing, I want you, because I know your time is valuable and I appreciate what we've shared thus far.
We can come back for a part 2. I'll be glad to come back anytime, you know, and I'm so glad to be here today. It just happens that the way things are piling up and I've got a client hanging in the wind and I've got a session that may start at 5, I'm not sure, but I would love to come back and take this to the next level, especially I'm connected with a nonprofit called Shine Film and Music. And Shine is, it's a nonprofit and it's about children, young adults, male and female, everybody who normally couldn't afford to be, to experience, to learn, to know what it is and how to use these, the equipment and how to use these different areas of knowledge to make media, film, music, TV, animation, any of this stuff, and recording, arts and sciences that go with it. And I'm so excited about Shine. It's not my own. I'm in league very seriously with the person who started it 6, 7 years ago. And what we are looking at is expanding it into a program that not only educates and introduces on so many levels. I mean, they even have a program for preschoolers where they're just making their own little music and their own little with their own phones and stuff like that, or a tablet. And
that's how it starts nowadays.
Yeah, and it's how it starts. I mean, I was given an 8mm silent film camera by my dad. It was an 8mm Bell and Howell, and it was silent. And I was 12, 13 years old. I had fun with that thing. But anyway, Steven Spielberg was given a similar thing by his mom, and that's what started him. Okay, so but back to it. To give them the opportunity to get involved and do their own projects and steer them and influence them as to whether they're going to go to any areas of higher learning, to also join the workforce in Georgia. See, I'm in Georgia, and what's happening in Georgia is we have this grand explosion of indie media makers, film, animation, everything. And we've had the music, you know, the music's been here forever. I love to say forever because it's like 80 years of music here, just in this town alone in Atlanta. But you got the Macon scene, Savannah. Georgia's very, very rich with musical history. It was the crown seat. Now, I don't take anything from Nashville, but Atlanta was it. I mean, it's where everybody came to hear and see Ray Charles, Little Richard, Brooke Benton. I mean, everybody, the whole thing. But getting back to it, now it's that explosion in film. And I have some plans that I would love to reveal on a part 2 or part 3. And we are all about involving people and being a part of this growing industry. The grassroots, what we like to call the grassroots, what do they call it? The the homegrown level.
Yeah, the grassroots is what it is. That's the interpersonality connections on the the streets. Take it to the street level.
Right, and that feeds into the cottage industry, which is the people serving themselves. But then you go on the commercial and industrial industry level, and it's about selling it to the world that doesn't even know you. Hey. So it has to be packaged in such a way. So I would like to get into those aspects later, and also talk about how easily affordable some of this is to do.
I'm with it. So shout out to the ATL. You got a lot of, like you said, a lot of history there. You got a lot of stuff going on right now. You got Soul Asylum doing their thing.
Man.
So real quick.
Listen, wait. Rafael Capone. He is the first Dolby Atmos room. He's doing music, but he could do film too. I think he is doing film, but he's the first Dolby Atmos room. I am so stoked, excited, and proud of him. And he has a speaker line it's incredible. And I say incredible is the perfect word. You can't believe that the level of it's blown his product, excuse me, it's set to blow away the industry standards. And that is very exciting in and of itself. I plan on getting the speakers. I plan on building my own Atmos room for scoring, not for mixing, for scoring. We do our basic mixes, but we rely on a Dolby Atmos mix guy. I have one on my team, but I want to definitely give a shout out to Rafael, man. Way to go.
Yeah, man. I've been watching. I'm a fan, and I like the look. Even not only the sound is amazing, but the color of the speakers is very unique. And I even like how some of them it come down to the feet of the speakers come down to a cone to a point to really help with the minimized stuff. Frequency
vibration
transfer. Yeah, man, it's a lot of thought and quality put into that. You gotta respect the person that's taking it to that extreme. So let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
While we're on tech, because I want to close with one question for you regarding something that's really, really moving to now, current state. But I want to ask you this while we're on tech and gear. I talk to people all the time. You see what I got on. You see see my phones.
Yes.
I like the planners. How you feel about the planners versus the dynamic drivers?
Dynamic drivers are good for studio use. Planners are good for listeners. If you're really, see, once again, the lines are being blurred between professional industry and commercial or consumer industry.
Right.
So it's up to you. Just because it has a big price tag on it doesn't mean it's all that. You gotta look at the specs. So you have to look at what your usage is, the open ear ones, the closed ear ones, you have to look at your usage. And that doesn't take a whole lot. You go in any music store and then you'll get the right salesperson and they'll tell you what's up. Or you can go on the internet.
I've been pushing a lot of those around me that's coming up in their ranks. I've been telling them the key word is you want reference grade.
Yeah, reference grade. Yeah, you're right. That's what you really needed me to say, reference grade. I was saying it in a roundabout way, industry standard and then commercial consumer standard is a whole nother story, but the lines are being blurred. Thanks to people like Dr. Dre, who did the Dre beats. A lot of it started there. And you've had 5 or 6 other companies offshoot from that level. I knew one, it was in Atlanta, and I don't know where he is now, but he came out with his own headphone lines that was Wi-Fi and all of that, Bluetooth, and the sound was incredible. It was incredible.
The healing, the scoring, the repaying of the debt of the experience. Hey, here's the question I got for you. Current state. So we talked about how it is in film, right? We've talked about the balancing, the settlement of the debt. What do you see from a scoring mindset, the potential in the metaverse?
Wow.
Because hold on, let me drop this for you real quick for everybody. So not just because we know film, you're watching it, right? But now the metaverse is going to be completely custom environments virtual environments. What do you see?
Which means if they're making NFTs out of any of these films, that as an NFT is, you could be easily immersed as a character within any of these environments on an interactive basis, which means the possibilities are limitless. But then again, you have to be willing to stay or play in the metaverse. You know, the what is it, Oculus and these other brands. I have a son who's so totally deep into this, the 3D virtual reality glasses, goggles. Yeah, that's I'm not as well versed as I should be on the metaverse, but it has to do with, it's a digital realm, which that much I understand, the virtualness of it, and it's an experience that's going to make limitless the technologies involved. I mean, you know, you can make a weapon out of sound. You can make sonic weapons. Oh, yeah. So you can do anything with sound. They use sound to levitate the stones to build the pyramids. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people will say, "What the hell is he smoking?"
Right. But actually, they're not ready. This is why that 7, they come with the prerequisites. Our viewers got the prereqs. They with you. They with us.
They should be knowing. And if you don't want to believe it, just look up in the Bible, the walls of Jericho. They marched, they blew their trumpets, they marched around the walls, and then at a particular time, the walls caved into the sand. That was done by sound. Hey. And if you still don't believe it, you ride in your car and you're bumping the bass, you don't feel that bass in your skull and in your chest.
You get lighter. You start getting lighter. Hey, yeah, look, so here's what I want you to, as far as the metaverse, here's what I want you to chime in on. Okay. Is I want you to, now that there's going to be complete virtual environments, there's going to be a need to score the experience. Right. Boom. That's going to be an explosion for y'all industry and craft. What do you your thoughts about it from the scoring aspect?
I haven't lent a lot of thinking to it, and right now you just sparked my mind on it, honestly. Not that I haven't been honest. You totally sparked my mind in a new direction. I didn't think about scoring the metaverse. Bam! The possibilities of scoring the metaverse. I'm focusing on scoring these independent films from all these filmmakers who literally couldn't afford my services or know how important it is. Right. So maybe the metaverse is that area that we need to seriously look at now. Thanks.
Always a perfect day. That's what a good Pasha does. All right, so I appreciate your time, V. Go ahead and shoot me the details for Shine and your, I got your other links already, but what you want the people to reach you at Shine, shoot me those details so I can share that for you. You got any closing remarks for the people?
You're going to reach the director and founder, Tracy Morris, and she is awesome. She is a certified school teacher. She teaches Cyber Academy. She's got over 100 students. She teaches online. It's an awesome program. And a lot of these things are going to be implemented in the programs from Shine. We're gonna have a lot of virtual students. I've got ideas that we may work out where I'm literally teaching different levels of students on a Zoom or a Zoom-like platform, and for just donations, to Shine. You make a donation to Shine, you got me. We have a situation where a filmmaker comes to Shine and says, I need sound and music, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, blah, blah, blah. Well, they get someone to make a donation to Shine. I don't know what the amount would be, but it's not gonna even cover what it costs to get it done by someone like me. But because I volunteer my time with Shine and I work for Shine whenever possible, that I'm available, and they're getting multi-million-dollar experience for a donation. So
you heard it there. I'll get the link. I'll get the information in the comments below or in the description below. This is why that's 7. I'm Pasha Paroh VLEEV.
Awesome.
Always a
Thank you. And that sound in the background is me starting to work. I gotta go.
Get it. Get it.